Awesome. Okay. Awesome. So welcome, Emily. So glad to be talking to you today. And before we start, just wanted if you could quickly introduce yourself, and then we'll get started with respect to, just talking about your journey.
Okay, hello, how are you? My name is Emily. I'm an architect. I live in Saudi Arabia, and I'm a young architect trying to figure herself out, trying to figure the journey. What is it like to be an architect to construct new buildings? So actually, I'm just right now just discovering myself with my major.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily, for that quick introduction. And obviously, Emily is one of our Novatr alumni learners, and very happy to be talking to you today. So, what we'll be doing is that let's maybe go back a bit before you even talk about your current space. Would love to understand and start from a point where you were perhaps considering architecture, what even got you into this field in the first place. So would love to, understand what was going on in your mind as maybe a 17-year-old, 18-year-old Emily, and, considering what field you should take.
Actually, I was not considering architecture at all. I considered every single major in my life except architecture. And then throughout my journey, I suddenly found myself, I was doing freshman. So we had a freshman gap period, and I felt like I have to decide what major I'm supposed to do right now. So I started talking to my friends. I started asking questions. I didn't know exactly what I want. I wanted to become a psychologist, actually.
Okay.
And then I discovered that it's not something I really want to do. So I kept asking questions, and then I suddenly discovered that I'm into. I suddenly discovered that I'm into architecture. I have no idea how, and I started my program. And at first, I honestly did not like it at all because I wasn't able to understand anything, lines, geometry, construction, nothing at all. And then I tried, I wanted to quit and I wanted to change my major. But however, I thought about it again and I said, I went through the cliche motivation of me not being a quitter and I'm going to figure it out. So I was like, I got this, I'm going to figure it out. And I started studying, I started trying to figure it out, to learn more about it, find tricks to like visualize things because sometimes you're not capable of actually visualizing in different angles, different perspectives. So I pushed myself and I proceeded with it. And right now I have a huge passion for it.
Nice. That's lovely to hear. And it's very interesting. I think a lot of pretty much all the people that I know in architecture, barring a few, have somehow landed up not landed up coincidentally where they were trying out a lot of things, and then they ended up discovering one of our mentors recently talked about how he tried everything and then finally someone said, okay, why don't you try out architecture? And it ended up being something as a profession for his entire life. And that is something I often like I want to understand further. So obviously you coming from a certain context, and like for example in India it's a lot of sort of family driven decisions that happen, just part of the culture. Wanted to understand how it's like there for you, and was architecture something that was like a obvious field, or is it something that still like very few consider?
Actually, in our Arab countries, they always go either with being a doctor or with being an engineer. You don't have any other option. You always have to pick one. But my dad was a very open minded person. He never gave me any guidance or direction. He always told me, go the path that you want, the path that you feel like. And which felt that was more confusing for me. Sometimes when people choose something for you, you feel like it's easier. Halas is chosen. But when it's not, when you have to discover and you have to learn what you love and you have to choose your own path, it's amazing, but it could also be really confusing. So, however, my dad is actually into construction as well. And I swore, like when I was a kid, I was like, I'm not choosing anything like my parents. I'm not doing it. And then I just suddenly felt I'm into architecture, into construction. But yeah, family, it was open-minded choice. I went with that.
And in terms of, like your perception of architecture, because I feel like even before and post architecture college, like you were talking about how, there was just a lot suddenly. We often have a very different perception of architecture. Was that like for you as well, where you thought it's going to be, about a very visionary space, how they show it in movies, and then suddenly you're pulling out all-nighters, etc. during college?
Yes, yes. I thought it was going to be something, it's so artistic. You don't need to really put so much effort into it. You don't really need to study much. And then suddenly I discovered myself, I used to hate math. And then now everyone is like, you're an architect and you don't like math. How does this even work? So suddenly I discovered that you have to study, like, I believe architecture is amazing because you have to learn about very different sectors. You have to learn about physics, you have to learn math, have to learn about different. I didn't expect that at all, honestly. However, I just suddenly found myself into learning about these skills. And then, when you have passion to visualize things and create something, you will find the passion to learn more about different sectors. Everything has about the side to it. So all-nighters, always an all-nighter, especially that I'm a last-minute person. I only work under stress. So this was another bad thing. So spending a lot of all-nighters, that happens a lot.
So, I think even with that, during your architecture college experience, you talked about there were moments where you were questioning whether this was the degree for you. Were there also any high points where you thought, okay, this is something that I'm really feeling passionate about? Or were there people in your, as mentors or as professors that were inspiring you to push further?
We had a course in university. It was about you didn't have any borders, any guidelines, nothing. You were capable of creating a project in Mars or in the moon. So this is where I discovered that I'm very into architecture because I was capable of designing. Because we're always used to designing the same as the buildings that we see, follow the guidelines, follow the rules. So you're always restricted. You cannot have your creative side explored. So when we had this course in university, I started to discover how out of the box you're capable of being through architecture. I learned more about other architects. They were also a guide for me. Um, they introduced new things. So I was like, maybe I'm capable of introducing new things to the world as well, new designs, new ideas. And this is where I discovered my passion for architecture. When I stopped following the guidelines that were always related to, I found out my passion for it. So I decided to study everything that relates to futuristic architecture.
Nice. That sounds very interesting. I mean, imagine sort of building without any constraints like gravity, but anything like that.
Yeah, literally, I had a project built in the desert, and it was like the idea was the buildings were up. You remember when COVID was around?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was during Corona period, and they were like, "What would you design if there was a pandemic?" And then my idea was I was inspired from the desert wave. So it was like the buildings were gonna be outside, and then they go inside of the sand, under the earth, and then they develop into bubbly entities, and then they're gonna have a mesh of sand around them. It was just very playful, and I feel like this is when a person finds their like true passion and they love what they do. It's when it becomes playful. They just enjoy it.
That's very interesting. I was trying to visualize when you were talking waves going inside the sand, and sort of it creating structures within it. I think that was cool. I would love to see that. To be honest, to check it out. And like in terms of your, so one is Emily, if you could also talk about like which university you went to, how was the space over there? What about others within your batch? How did they perceive the entire space, and eventually, what did you guys end up doing post graduation?
Okay, that's interesting story. So I studied at Notre Dame University, Louaise. It's in Lebanon. So at first, when we joined architecture, and Lebanese people, they have to do two sectors before they choose a major. So they already kind of have an idea about what is architecture before they enter to architect. So in Saudi Arabia, where I studied, you have zero knowledge about this, nothing at all.
Okay.
So when I got there, I was a very, a strict A student in class, and I've always got the right answers. And then when I went to the major, and I felt like everyone, all my classmates, have it all figured out. And to me, architecture was literally like Chinese. I couldn't understand anything. So I felt like I was, at that time, like a wrong person. Like I didn't mix a lot with the group. I didn't really. The space was not like very comfortable, let's say.
Hmm.
And later on, we started when so we have a studio. Okay, so where all the students are combined together, all the students, they share their ideas, all the students, they design their project, and they start talking. And this is where you feel like architecture is beautiful, when you combine different minds together, when you all sit together, you all share your creativity together, you all help each other. And I feel this is what mostly missed in architecture. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I feel like you're always alone. You always have your responsibility alone. You have to do this, do that. They become very stressful, and you block your idea of trying to design and enjoy. So this was the good thing about my university. It was very peaceful. My mentors were incredible. They had very creative minds, honestly. It's like they used to have their work, and then to disconnect from the work, they used to come to our studio and start to explore their creativity with us. So it was very teamwork.
Lovely. And what you talked about is very relevant. I don't think you're wrong over there to say that. I think there is a lot of there is a lot of creativity that in a way blossoms when everyone's working together, discussing ideas. Even because at the end of the day, I also believe design is very iterative. Suddenly you say something and it trigger a thought in me. I don't believe ideas are born in isolation as well. You're sitting in a lone room and suddenly you get this brain wave and you're like, wow, I'm genius. So that doesn't ever happen. And unfortunately, definitely, I do agree that when you do end up working and you're in practice, it is sometimes isolating because you're not able to just freely discuss it. Everything has security, everything has guidelines. So I mean, I could also relate to that because I think for me also one of the most exciting parts of university was working together, figuring things out. So definitely, and also, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not just as architects, as engineers, as a lot of different disciplines coming, an interior designer working with you. It definitely creates a beautiful space.
Correct. I feel like people have to lose the idea of, constantly they're in competition with each other. You might steal my job. You might steal my idea of this design. You might do that. So people also tend to isolate themselves in such majors. This is what I see most of the times. Therefore, I feel like no, people have to learn. Like it's better when you share your ideas. Sometimes people can light up a part that you haven't seen before. Sometimes they can guide you in a way that you haven't seen before. So I feel like architecture is always about learning. It's constantly about learning, constantly about discovering things. You will never figure it all out. It's not gonna happen, especially with this technology. It's moving too fast. So as you definitely do agree, like having a team always constantly around you, sharing ideas is very important. I feel like I wish in every firm, architecture firm, they can actually implement this.
Yeah, for sure. And you also talked about how your batchmates or people with you, seemed to have it all figured out. Would love to, understand, like, because again, if I compare with a core field here in India, what ends up happening is post graduation, a lot of people end up moving away from architecture because everyone is trying to, maybe figure out a high paying career path or something that is maybe a trending field at that time. Also, because I think you can correlate that design thought process in a lot of other fields. So that also does play a role. Would love to understand from your perspective, like your batchmates, where did they end up going? Is it a similar trend? And what happened towards, let's say, the last years of college? And then finally the graduation point.
Okay, so I will tell you the journey. We started with, let's say, around, I'm not sure of the number, but let's say around 40 students.
Okay.
The first sector of architecture, we lost more than half of the students. They stopped doing architecture because
Wow.
of the all-nighters, because of the stress, because of the criticism of the instructors, because, you know, it's when you design something, there's other than the guidelines, there's opinions on what you do, and sometimes they can be really harsh. So yeah, we lost almost half of the students. They didn't proceed. The other half that proceeded with us, they're actually really amazing. They also found their passion. They fell in love. There's always students that don't love it. They're just doing it for the parents. We always have this part. But most of them actually came to the same country that I live in right now, and we're all like working in different companies.
Oh,
So we have to share ideas together. Yes.
okay, that's great. So like basically, but I mean 50% of you ended up dropping out in the first year, but those who did stay, like they are all in the core field practicing in different firms. Got it.
Yes.
And what is your perspective of, just generally like the criticism, etc.? Do you think that it's something that helps you grow or is something that demotivates you?
When I first started, I told you I had no idea about architecture, so I
Yeah.
was just trying to figure it out. My instructor, I remember, she yelled at me in the middle of the class in front of all of the students. She
Okay.
literally told me, drop your course. You are not even an architect and you will never become an architect. I remember it very well. So it was very hard for me to take such a huge, strong criticism. She was like, you're not understanding. This is not breaking. Just drop it. And sometimes you can either take this criticism as a destruction for you, or you can take it as a motivation. I decided to take it as a motivation. I proceeded more and I swore, I took an oath to myself. I was like, I'm going to graduate. And the day I'm going to graduate, I'm going to look into this instructor and I'm going to tell her I made it and I will become a great architect. So
Mhm.
I feel sometimes instructors could be really harsh
Yeah.
through your criticism. However, I feel like you always have to see the positive side out of it because you have to believe in yourself. If you don't, might as well just change a lot of different things in your life, not only in architecture. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that stands true for anything in life. I'm very curious. Did you do that then?
did I do what?
Did you end up talking to the instructor?
Oh yes, and she became my mentor in the last. So we had the final project of
Yeah.
submission, the senior project. And she was my mentor actually, and she fell in love with my project. She was like, "You have such a great mind," and she was such a supporter. So yes, it's funny how things can turn out. And we became very close after that.
Lovely. I think all is great if it ends in this way. And she ended up, sort of being your sort of mentor towards the end. So that's amazing. Now let's move on to the part where you've graduated. Now you're, let's say going looking for what to do next, the first job. would love to understand that journey as well. What was going on in your mind? What year was it? And how did you approach, looking and creating your career post that?
Okay, so I graduated in 2022. And when I graduated, I thought I own the world. My degree is amazing. I will directly find a job opportunity. It's so easy. And then I came here to Saudi Arabia, also at 2022.
Hmm.
And I started applying for a job, different job opportunities. And I found how competitive and difficult it is to actually find uh, a position in architecture. It's very demanding. There's a lot of architects in the world. I thought I was the only, the only architect and I will directly find a job. But then I discovered there's plenty of people doing it and it's very competitive. And, job applications, they're just competitive. So I ended up not finding anything. So I shifted my career a bit, started working in defense.
Okay.
And after that, I kept proceeding trying to find a position. And yes, thank God I found one. Although we have like my dad, he works in construction, nothing. But I didn't want to follow. Sometimes it's stubborn lady. You want to figure it out on your own. So I shifted. I worked in different careers. I worked into events. I became a hostess for a while. Everything. And then I found a job in architecture afterwards.
And what company was this, and how did that process look like for you?
Okay, so first I started in a curtain company.
Okay, in a
That was
company.
yes, curtain
Okay.
company.
Okay, that's very interesting. Would love to understand that.
Okay, so I started in a curtain company. I thought it's more related into interior, so maybe it's a little bit related to architecture. I can find like I'm trying to find my way. So I learned a lot about curtains and their fabric and I don't know what and the systems and different stuff. And we started having very huge projects coming from outside for in order for us to do quotations on them and to study them. And therefore, I used to open the maps because I wasn't able to draw at that time because my job does not require me to do technical drawings, to 3D. So I remember I used to take all the drawings that I used to see and I used to sit and analyze them and I wanted to like be the one that's doing this. So in the curtain, I learned a lot. I started looking at curtains differently, honestly. It's very weird. Sometimes you lose perspective of how tiny things in life, they have so many details. You usually look at a window and you're like, it's a window. It enters wind, ventilation. That's it. You don't look further. A curtain, you use it to just shut down the sunlight. However, then you start discovering there's different systems, different fabric types. And I think it's important also for architecture to learn more about
Mhm.
fabric because sometimes you find us into interior a little bit, you know? And yes, it was very weird experience, but it was part of it. So it was good.
Interesting. I like this reminds me of something that I was watching today. And your thought about how there's a lot of detail in everything. So I was watching this video today by Moshe Sabdi, and he was talking about design, and he's one of obviously like one of my favorites. And he was talking about how he was designing a museum and how apparently North Light reduce the colors of like yellows, and it made it flat, and how he designed a detail within the uh, how north light and sunlight were to mix based on certain reflectors so that the colors would appear true to its nature. And that's just one very small detail, and he's so happy explaining about it and so excited at his just explaining that to the public. So I think it's really wonderful that I feel that's also one of the key characteristics that I think of architect, wherein even the depth of it provides the same love and excitement as something grand. And you don't realize, but architects and designers everywhere are working from the tiniest of details to the biggest of things, just making the world function the way it is.
That's true. It's beautifully said, honestly. That's very true. And I would love to see this video.
Yeah.
I also saw a video previously. It's about this is I feel like architecture is related to everything in life, honestly. It's not that we just come up with buildings for people to live. It's not just a space. I've seen a video previously where there's this architect where she takes but biology, like your
Okay.
nervous system, a certain part or a certain part in your brain, and she starts tracing it, and she starts coming up with void and mass and construction from this pattern or this rhythm.
Yeah.
So it's very nice how you can find architecture in every single thing in life, honestly. Different patterns, different ideas.
Yeah, I think I would love to see that now.
I send them to Anu, send it to you.
Okay, awesome. So, okay, now let's coming back to the obviously the experience on the company where you were, started to look at curtains. What next post that, and again, like what is something that eventually led to where you are currently?
Okay, so right now I work in a creative agency. It's
Okay.
called Tajalla. So I found it. I started with them recently, honestly, in 2024.
Hmm.
And what we do is that we create events. So we work more in events. And in events, you can become very creative
Hmm.
because you're capable of designing the stage, and the stage you have to design it in a very unique way. You pay attention to the lights and pay attention to different sectors. Like I feel like designing events is different than just building a construction,
Yeah.
coming up with a special form. So you have the freedom to build the form that you love, follow the guide that you want. To you start paying attention into, for example, if I want different shapes, how can I produce? Like, how can I come up with a structure that can hold this different shape together? So you start opening your mind just a little bit more into discovering new things. And this is what the company I'm working with right now. This is what it provides, and I feel like it's pretty amazing. And part of it, what I'm very excited to honestly experience is my degree with Novatr that I've learned through Grasshopper because I'm in love with parametric architecture.
Okay.
Made all these my passion. And I really want to see how I can later on in life create something that is unique, something that is not really out there. Have you ever visited Saudi Arabia, by the way?
No, I haven't.
If you come here, honestly speaking, you can see the architecture, it's extremely repetitive. When you have a certain design and they just copy
Yeah.
paste it, copy paste it. This is how it is like right now here. So, however, they're growing now and they're starting to change. Right now, we're starting to have towers. Previously, it was just all, low
Yeah.
infrastructure, let's say. So right now we started having towers, we started having buildings. Previously we didn't have that. And therefore I'm trying to like move as fast as possible so I can go on with the designs and show them like how creative architecture can be, how amazing you can come up with amazing
Yeah.
things.
I think, like you brought a lovely point. I think that is again something very relatable. Um, Everything I think ends up being repetitive, obviously because of, the fast construction that's needed. But that's not the only solution. And I would love to, sort of understand what is it that was it this thought that triggered you to, say that, okay, I want to learn something more. I'm very curious to also understand how you came across Novator. Um, and how did you decide that, okay, this is something that I'm wanting to learn more?
Okay, so I was gonna go to Spain and do my master's for a futuristic architecture. When I told you about the design course that we took in the university, I discovered how in love I am with with unique designs, unique ideas.
Mhm.
Just things that are not constantly seen. I don't want to take the easy way. You can always take the easy way and just build a box and start filling this box with masses and voids but I wanted something really different. I wanted to go with something organic, something new structure, not necessarily it's always a column and a beam and you're good. No, like there's other things that could be used. So when I was looking, I wasn't able to go to Spain, unfortunately. I wasn't able to do my master's, and I was researching and researching and researching, and I came up with Novatr, and I saw how beautiful it is, and then I realized that Novatr was actually on Arc Daily.
Yeah.
It was strong, amazing, and that was very amazing. When I saw this, I was like, I was extremely excited to join the team. Other than the designs that we saw in the videos and they showed us what we're going to learn. It's very informative what you will learn throughout the process before joining. And this is very important. So this is what got me more excited. And then gladly, I joined the team and it was amazing, honestly. Everything that was mentioned before I started my journey with Novator was as it is. It was very honest. We learned everything that we were that was mentioned that we were gonna learn. Uh, Very amazing guidance. Honestly, I'm not complimenting. I'm speaking the truth. It was amazing guidance. Everything was honest, and it's very important to be honest because most of the times you see videos. And I've attended courses. I have attended plenty of courses before. They show you an ideal picture and they go like you're gonna learn this and that and you're gonna become amazing. The advertising, that's what they focus on. When they tend to get the student, you don't tend to learn what's exactly was promised. But with Novator, no, it was different. They provided full details, and they always have a mentor before you start joining the team. You have a mentor that calls you and tells you specifically what's gonna happen, specifically what softwares you're gonna learn, specifically what the process is gonna be. And I think that was really, really
Got it. And Emily, if like anyone to understand what your program journey looked like, if you could also maybe talk about the kind of subjects you did end up learning, which of those subjects was something that you were personally excited about as well?
innovator.
Yeah.
Okay, so rhino and grasshopper.
Okay.
Wow, the things you are capable of doing in grasshopper is incredible. I had no idea. I feel like in architecture, it's very demanding to have knowledge about different softwares. So you end up losing it because you cannot, we're human beings at the end of the day. We cannot learn 3ds Max. You have to learn Revit. You have to learn AutoCAD. You have to learn everything. So when you want to focus on different softwares, you tend to lose the essence of one. Yani, if you concentrate in one software, you tend to discover how incredible you can design with this software. When you want to focus on different ones, you tend to lose it. This is, in my opinion, this is what I feel. So I didn't know that previously when I started learning about Rhino, I thought you just draw things, extrude,
Yeah.
sleep, it's over, it's done. I didn't even know about grasshopper. Like I used to see the sign, but I didn't know its name. I didn't know what it would do. So with Novatr, this was the interesting thing for me, grasshopper, and how you can create different things in a very short period of time. That was amazing. I thought previously before learning this, I thought you have to draw each floor and then extrude each floor and then put them above each other. And then I discovered no, it's just a few commands and Grasshopper. You have the building and you can change it and you can adjust it and you can. It's very, very, very important for people to learn that. Honestly, architects specifically, it's very helpful.
And Emily, was there any mentor for you as well that you remember who you personally like learning from?
Mentor, honestly, there were a lot of mentors. I remember there was Joseph, but I don't remember the family name, honestly. He was Spanish. Uh, uh, very, very amazing mentor because also, when you just, there's always a connection between the student and their mentors. When you feel like this mentor kind of thinks the way like you do,
Yeah.
kind of has the same creativity, not exactly the same, but I mean the inspiration. So you tend to be very inspired by this man. And yes, Joseph was one of them. I was inspired, and also it was part of Rhino and class for learning skills and coming up with pavilion and different shapes of the pavilion and the structure. That was really nice. Actually, I followed him on LinkedIn. I will try to.
Follow all of them on LinkedIn.
Yes,
That's nice.
something.
I think that's like that's definitely something like I think a lot of people end up forgetting to do because it's not just about like those sessions, it's about the fact that you can then message them later on or just see what they are up to.
Exactly. Another thing is that you get to connect with different like really inspirational mentors. They're in very high positions in very great companies. You have from Zaha Hadid. Zaha Hadid, I used to be extremely inspired to. You bought us like there was a mentor from Novatr that was from Zaha Hadid company that just started guiding us. So amazing how we can connect with different people around the world from different countries that can inspire you in different ways because each mentor that was introduced in Novator felt different than the other. They did not match each other. Honestly, each one had their touch. Each one had their own different projects, even when they introduced themselves. They had different, I don't know, different touch to them.
Thanks
So,
everyone for sharing that. I think it sort of reinstates the fact that that is something that we really passionately believe in terms of getting all these interesting personalities and smart people together in a room and seeing what happens with respect to that. Would love to also, while obviously you're very kind enough to talk about these things, would love to understand if there's anything that you think from an experience perspective we can do better or we can improve. Would love to also understand that from you.
okay, honestly, there's a difficulty that I personally face. It was the time.
Okay.
I had my life and I had my work, and my work is extremely demanding. I'm in a state where I work almost 10 hours per day, honestly.
Mm.
When you're still young, you're still out there. Yes, you tend to give a lot. So this is my state right now, and the fact that the country I live in, it was unfortunately for me, but the weekends are different from the usual week. So I really had, uh, I faced a huge trouble with that, to keeping up with the course, to always wanting to give my best because it's a very interesting course, honestly speaking. It's very interesting. Because it's very interesting, you feel like you want to do your best. So I feel it was mainly the time because each week we have around two tasks, two assignments
Yeah.
to, you know,
Yeah, it's
and
definitely not easy.
yes, and each workspace or each course is around 3 hours, sometimes 3 hours and a half. But I feel like maybe a specific more guidance into the PDFs where a student is not really they're not supposed to go through the class and watch it all over again because it takes a lot of time, and sometimes you just want to do the task and you just want to submit it. Then you end up feeling like you have to watch the video, you have to follow it step by step in order to reach this. It's very amazing to watch the video because you can learn a lot. I do understand that, but maybe just take a tiny guidance for a student to just be able to quickly implement it.
Understood. No, I thank you for that feedback, and I think definitely that's something that I completely understand because at the end of the day, everyone's a working professional, and these subjects are not are definitely require a lot of homework and a lot of sort of deep diving into it on a daily basis. And I love the idea around having maybe some assisting documents as well, that can help with a lot of the assignments. So yeah, I mean, definitely will note that down for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. But thank you for everything the team has been providing. It's very supportive, honestly.
Yeah, that's thanks, Emily, for choosing us as well. So now going back to the fact that would you talked about something very beautiful in a way, which was around how there is a certain vision that you want to bring back to your country, where you want to bring that uniqueness in architecture. Sort of talk about that further with respect to the community over there, on what are the possibilities of the built environment. Would I really want to know what are your plans, what is the vision you hold, and what's next for Emily?
Okay, so hopefully, what's next for Emily is that hopefully I will be opening my firm because you need to open your firm to start designing the way you want. Other than that, you always have your mentor that you need to follow, and they always tend. Whenever you have a mentor, you always tend to think the way that they do because you're supposed to do what they want at the end of the day because you're submitting their project. You're not submitting your project. So hopefully, when I do open my own firm, I really want to use a new organic forms and new organic structures, um, very creative spaces. When you enter, the architecture from the outside is very beautiful. Yeah. Also, the inside, it could be fantastic. Zaha Hadid did a project in Saudi Arabia. It's the metro. And that was the first one of the first futuristic projects that were in Saudi Arabia. That was very different, even using different colors. So she tended to use the color white. It was with the lights. It's very, very, very. The way when you go inside, the way you feel, it's just it gives a different vibe. Here, most of the times, because it's in the desert and so they tend to use beige, nude colors. Always they go through these colors. It's always repetitive. It's constantly out there. So this is what I would introduce. I would introduce more organic forms, more futuristic designs, very futuristic designs, different use of color palettes. Very important because colors do have a huge impact on how you feel inside of the space. And yes, a different way of even the staircases. Have you seen the staircases of Zaha Hadid? Even the staircase, she pays attention to the stair you can intersect it and how you can form different platforms in different ways. It's just amazing. It's different than just, just going up the stairs because I have to reach there. No, it's having an experience throughout the space that you're in.
I I see where you draw your inspiration from, and
Yes.
what is it that you want to build for yourself? Probably sort of your name might be synonymous with this kind of architecture in the future, and that's what I wish for.
Thank you. I hope so. Parametric architecture. It's always the way. The, I'm just in love, and I hope that I can design something that stands out
Yeah.
through the process of parametric designs.
That's beautiful, and the fact that you have this clear vision at this age, I think with that clarity, I would just say, like, if you just have that conviction, keep learning more and keep going at it. I think you'll like I have that confidence through this conversation that you'll definitely build something that probably I'll look at Arc Daily and say that, hey, that's something that Emily, she was part of the Novatr program, or she was just someone I spoke to and she built that. So that would be a great moment.
Thank you so much. Your words are amazing. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I hope so. I hope so.
And Emily, with the last thing, this is definitely very interesting for me to learn more about you. Would love to ask you a couple of questions which are a bit on the spot. So these are going to be like one word or two word answers that you have to give me. And I love doing this with everyone I speak to. So the first one is, what is a better world for you?
A better world for me, peaceful world.
Okay, that's lovely. What is AC for you, or the architecture and construction industry? What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to me in one word? One word. Um, I would say passion,
Okay, parametric architecture.
parametric architecture, um, uniqueness.
Okay, and your career as an architect.
It's a maze. I would say it's a maze.
Awesome, great, and your journey with Novator.
Beautiful. I know,
Awesome.
true.
Thank you so much. And if there's anything else that I might have missed out on asking you, or anything else that you'd like to share, please let me know.
I think I just want to share that I'm also really glad I joined this program. I'm glad I met you, Vipanshi. It's amazing. And what you're doing is, I feel like it's highly important for people because I feel every architect in this world is kind of lost. You don't have it all figured out, especially when you're young and you're trying to start and you're trying to create something that you're very passionate about. You find criticism constantly, you find people knocking you down, you find people trying to put you in a certain place. You will face that a lot, but always try to push through it because there's always positive people at the end of the road. There's always positive people that are developing master classes such as Novatr, to help out students that really want to learn. They really want to find something different. They really want to design in a different way. So whenever there's this dark side, there's this bad side of people, let's say dark, we don't want to say bad, but whenever there's a negative side, there's always people that are trying to create a change, just the way that you are. So follow this path, follow this road, follow these people. And gladly I came across Novator, amazing team, very supportive, um, always there to push you to think outside of the box. And this is very important for us because we always tend to fall into the rules, into the guidance, into a specific way of thinking because we tend to follow each other. So I tend to see your design. I go like, it's very easy. I will do it. So I choose the easy way out. When you want to design something different, it's not easy to design something different because you have to study it. You have to figure it out. You have to propose something new to the world. So this could take so much time from you. And architects, some of us tend to just choose the easy way. So we tend to repeat each other. So we tend to copy each other. So this is what's nice. It's when you discover your passion and you find people that have the same passion as you and that are willing to guide you throughout the process. And again, luckily, I ended up with the Novatr team. Very hectic, very fast, but it's amazing.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you for having this conversation. This was like very interesting for me to also learn a lot of things today. So thank you so much. Would love to, maybe stay connected, and please do also feel free to reach out whenever, for whatever reason, in the future as well.
Thank you so much, Vitmashi.
Thank
I
you.
will follow you on LinkedIn.
Yes, I will do, and I am going to wait for that video that you're going to share with me uh on the neural network.
Yes, I will.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
And if I may add, the most unique thing actually is I'm using the word unique a lot today, but the most thing that I found it interesting in Novatri is that I tend to have friends in India now. I have friends in India, I have friends in Algeria. I have friends in different countries now. So that's really nice.
That's nice. Yeah, now have you come to India before?
No, but I will now to have friends.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, whenever you can just drop by the office or just meet up.
I would love to. And you provide the possibility of someone having a master's degree without having to travel. The fact that it's online helped me a lot because, as I told you, I was in a state where I wasn't able to travel. I wasn't able to do my master's. You gave me this opportunity. You gave me this opportunity to keep working and at the same time to have my master's degree. So, thank you so much.
Thanks, Emily. I mean, this is really sweet. Like, for a second, I was like, has Venkatesh told you these points?
Uh, like don't even start with that. Like even like I told you, I heard the entire conversation, and I was like, this is too good that people might think we paid you to that. This is
Really, it's not paid. It's just my honest opinion. I'm
the
paying
thing
you
is that
guys.
we just started thing where we having this candid conversation with the students or even the mentors. So recently only we have started doing it, and we realized that we need to do this kind of thing.